Hello, and welcome back to my corner on the internet. I'm Blake, and today I'll begin to talk about my experience as a movie fan. I've seen all the films probably 100 times, but here's a confession: I'm reading the books for the first time. So far, I've finished the first three books and started Goblet of Fire. I'll share my thoughts on Goblet of Fire in a future video once I'm done with it. I know it'll be an interesting experience, as I've heard time and time again that it was one of the poorest book to film adaptation in the franchise. For now, I want to share my initial reactions and what it's been like diving into the Wizarding World in its original form. Let's get started. This journey started last November, as I knew the new Harry Potter show was going to be here pretty quickly, as it seems that Warner Brothers aren't playing around. Knowing that the show was marketed as being more faithful to the books, I figured that now was as good a time as any to jump into the books. A behemoth of a task, or rather, a mountain troll of a task, as I would soon find out. Something you should know is that, in my adult life, I find it very difficult to sit down and read a book, which is rather sad, as in middle school I was recognized as the class bookworm on several occasions. Any one of my friends would have told you at the time that I spent a lot of my time with my nose in a book. Sadly, no one ever thought to put the Harry Potter books in front of me at the time, as I would have likely devoured them. Anyways, I knew going into reading the books that I would need to be very patient with myself, knowing that any struggle I'll have with it will be worth it in the end. Something I remembered is that audiobooks really helped me, and I would finish the books faster. So, I was blessed to hear Jim Dale read the first three books to me. A beautiful introduction to the books. I wasn't expecting all the different character voices, but it was a real treat. The Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone in the US, was an eye-opening experience. The movie, especially the extended cut, stays pretty faithful to the book. But I was surprised by small details missing from the film, like Harry's time at Muggle School and even a character named Piers Polkiss. When I saw set leaks for the new show, spotting Dudley's friend made a lot more sense, something that would have totally confused me before reading the books. It felt like I was getting a super extended version of the story, filled with little details I never knew existed. Sitting there, I pictured the movie cast as their characters and realized just how perfect Daniel Radcliffe was as Harry, even if he didn't have the green eyes. Richard Harris as Dumbledore, Maggie Smith as McGonagall. It hit me how much these actors shaped my love for this world. Honestly, it was emotional. I couldn't put the book down, reading half in one sitting and finishing it in the next day. This journey has made me even more excited for the new Harry Potter show, and I finally get why a fresh adaptation is so important. As a movie-only fan, it seems so stupid to reboot so soon, but reading this book made me realize why it's needed. It's not about being a reboot, it's about creating a brand new adaptation that's more faithful to the books. Though, at the time of writing this, it remains to be seen if they deliver on such a lofty goal. Really, this journey also inspired me to create this channel. Sure, a lot of this lore may be new for me and not to book purists, but maybe I can present this lore to people who haven't read the books and don't know who Piers Polkiss is. It breathed a new life of passion and excitement for this world that I've loved since I was a kid. I feel like I can start to understand why people love it so much, why book fans implore movie fans to read the books. Like, who knew Harry and his friends had to sneak out Norbert so they could smuggle him to Charlie in Romania? Not me, because they didn't put it in the movie. Reading Chamber of Secrets was, for lack of a better word, magical. Once again, the movie sticks closely to the book, especially if you've seen the extended cut. The scene at Fort Pifford Drive before the Masons arrive, practically word for word from the page to the screen. That said, the book still managed to surprise me. For example, Tom Riddle never says, "Parseltongue can't save you now," like he does in the film. In fact, Harry never even thinks about using Parseltongue against the Basilisk. Honestly, reading the books has made me notice just how often Harry kind of flubs it. Like in book 1, when letters are flying into the house, he tries catching one in midair instead of just picking up one from the floor. Or when he climbs the astronomy tower to smuggle out Norbert and just forgets the invisibility cloak. Rookie move, Potter. It's funny to imagine Sirius watching all this later and thinking, James and I would have never have been caught. You can almost hear the silent disappointment. Still, moments like Harry pulling out of the sword of Gryffindor from the hat, legendary. I like to think Sirius would be proud of that one, maybe even more than anything James pulled off. I guess if nothing else, Harry did one-up his dad a bit in that respect. Never pulled the sword from the hat, did you, Prongs? Obviously, these moments of perceived ignorance serve to move the plot forward, but man is it funny to point out. These little differences remind me just how much was either changed or cut entirely from the films. And while the changes often make sense for pacing, it's wild to see how much richer the story is in book form. Prisoner of Azkaban was a game changer. This is where I started to notice the movies drifting a bit more from the source material. First off, Hermione punching Draco instead of slapping him. Movie wins here. No notes. But there's so much missing from the film. Like huge lore pieces. Seriously. No. Seriously. The movie tells you that Sirius was framed, sure, but it never explains how he supposedly betrayed the Potters. There's barely any mention of the Fidelius Charm or what being a secret keeper actually means. That context is crucial, and I didn't realize how much was missing until I read it. Honestly, I only knew about the Fidelius Charm before, thanks to Super Carlin Brothers videos. Without the book, the whole situation with Sirius lacks emotional and narrative weight. Now, something in the movie that I did like is having Harry see Peter Pettigrew on the Marauders map. This was a smart move, and it plants doubts about Sirius' guilt early on. That doesn't happen in the book, but it works. Still, if the new show ever makes it to Season 3, I really hope they explain the Secret Keeper stuff. It's too important not to. And Crookshanks? Turns out he's part Kneazle, which explains why he's obsessed with catching scabbers. Oh, and apparently Sirius could communicate with Crookshanks in dog form. Wild. None of that made the movie. Also, the beginning of the book was really fun, as when Ron gives Harry the sneakoscope and explains what it does, I immediately realized that it went off because of scabbers, which was Wormtail the whole time. Something I'm sure is supposed to be a fun aha moment when people reread the book, that I picked up on because of the movie. Little moments like these really elevate the book, and when I rewatched Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Lupin asked Harry what creature was in his office during their first meeting, I actually knew the answer. I felt good, like I had finally joined the inner circle of fans who understood those deeper connections. If you want to hear even more of my thoughts on Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban, I was actually on a podcast called Let's Talk. If my episode's live, I'll drop the link below so you can hear my off-the-cuff takes and conversation with Caitlin, the host. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully, I'll be back there again soon. In the meantime, I'm pushing through Goblet of Fire, and it's already shaping up to be a whole different beast. Please be patient and kind in the comments. Yes, I know it's a bit of heresy to be a Harry Potter content creator who's just now reading the books, but I am working through them, slowly but surely. I even bought the full box set from Barnes & Noble as a birthday gift to myself, so I can keep this journey going at my own pace. If you want to follow along, hit that subscribe button and tell me, what book moments do you wish made it to the movies? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again. Mischief managed.